Today I am joined by Cyndee Dalai, a poet, writer, and a living testament to the extraordinary resilience of the human spirit. Her journey from profound illness and unthinkable physical limitations to becoming a symbol of hope, creativity, and inner strength reminds us that awakening isn't just a moment, it's a lifelong unfolding. As we explore the magic woven into her story, let's step into a conversation that celebrates courage, presence, and the quiet power of choosing life again and again. Welcome, Cindy, to I Awaken. It's a pleasure to host you. All right, Cindy. When you reflect on the vast spectrum of your life experiences, what do you feel truly awakened within you during your most challenging seasons?
A belief that there is something greater than we, that you possess a lot more that you ever thought possible, and you have resilience and strength and courage, and most of all, you can have faith in the impossible.
That's beautiful. But was there a moment in that darkness when a single insight shifted everything for you?
Well, there have been periods, I think we all go through periods of life where we face darkness, whether it might be a great thing or in retrospect, it wasn't something very serious. But in that moment when you feel lost and you feel as if nothing is ever going to happen, I did find that throughout life, like from early on when things started happening, and it felt as if you're all alone, there's nobody else with you, you can't turn to anybody, you don't know what to do. That I remember I was 16 years old and I had been asked to do something that most people in my religion, especially as a young girl, you don't get to do. And most people were happy, they said it was really good. I spoke well, things were good. But then on the flip side, at the same time, you get criticized because it wasn't the right thing to do. You are a girl, girls don't usually do these things, and even my own family criticized me. And it was like, if I did something right, what did I do wrong? And you kind of lost. And I remember sitting outside in the night. It was late, and I sat outside and I said, "Why it is when I do something right, everybody says it's wrong, And why something that get praised the next minute, I get criticized for doing something that everybody said was good, and then they turn around and they find the littlest things to criticize, and they find reasons to see, I'm doing something wrong." And I remember I sat down and I said, "God, what am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to do?" Because I if I do right things, I'm wrong. If I do wrong things, I get criticized the same way. So, and I remember I was sitting there and I was looking around, and then I started to laugh because I don't know why. I just started to laugh when I said, "You know something? This is so funny. You're out here sitting talking to yourself in the middle of the night, and yet I can see the stars, I can see the sky, I can feel the breeze, and the fact that I can actually see it out loud shows that, and I can ask, shows that I have somebody with me who is with me. And I have somebody who I can go to when nobody is there to listen to me, and who I can say exactly what I want to say to. And I know that they don't understand it. They're not going to criticize me." And I started to laugh. And then I mean, just that thought was enough to make me realize that I'm never alone, and that I can say what I want to say, even if it's to myself, even if I want to sit down and talk to God, that I am being heard because I hear myself and someone else higher than me listens.
And I can relate it to it as well. I think most of our listeners can too. That there's always this feeling when you want to do something right, when you think that you are doing something right, there'll still be people who will criticize you and stop you from doing it. But it's just in that moment, what matters is that you listen to your inner voice, and especially as a woman, it's really difficult to do the right thing because there'll be so many people stopping you. But like you said, when we are alone, there are be it ourselves only or be it someone guiding us from above. It's just someone is there. And I think knowing that helps a lot. And your answer can help listeners understand how awakening often arises in places we least expect, sometimes often within ourselves. So, on that note, Cindy, you have lived through illnesses that defy medical expectations. How has navigating a body that feels unpredictable shaped your understanding of identity?
Very often we see identity as our name, our ethnicity, our religion, our job, the culture we grew up in, the country we live in. And identity is not your name, it's not your job, it's not your family. Identity is really who you see yourself as. Because I've always said that I've played many roles. It doesn't define who I am. I was a mother, I was a child, I was a student, I was a wife, I was a teacher, I was a counselor, I was all these things, a patient, a widow, everything. And yet, those were all pieces of me. They were not all of me. And when my body did get sick, because I say my body because my illnesses never define who I am. And when my body got sick, there were times when everybody said that during those 4 years of fog, that I was in and out, and like I have just vague memories of a few things happening. And most of what I learned about what my body went through was from my family telling me about it, or the doctors, or reading the medical reports, or close friends. They would tell me how it was and what I looked like and whatever. But I had no idea what was going on, because like your body was here, but I was not present. The me, the thinking you in your head, who you connect to and who you relate to, that me was not there. The physical body was here. And like when you're told that there's nothing anybody can do for you and no medicine can help you because you're allergic to every single medication, and you go to the neuropathic and homeopathics and stuff like that, and they still can't help you because you're allergic to all those things also, you know? So what I learned to do was I learned to sit down and I learned to tell myself, okay, what can you do with what your life is now? I said, okay, yes, I lost a lot because I really didn't like being in this position. I lost my independence. Had to give up my job teaching, which I love so much because I was medically unfit. I had to not be able to do things with my family, that my children and stuff like that. And I love my independence and I love being able to just pick up and go. And it was very difficult because I wanted to go back to the life I had before, but I couldn't. So I sat down and I said, listen, what are the advantages of the life I have right now? It may seem a strange thing to say, especially at the time when I was in a wheelchair. I was still being sick. I was trying to get my body to do things and stuff like that. And I was seeing what I had. I didn't see what I have. So I sat down and said, okay, Cyndee, you're being selfish because I'm putting my family through a lot of suffering in addition to what they went through in the last few years with me flatlining and everything and stuff like that. And I said, okay, one, I have more time where I can sit down and focus on my own healing. Two, I could really start to listen to people, what they're saying. Their words, not thinking, okay, what am I gonna, I'm listening to you, but I'm thinking about what you're telling me so I can hook on to what I'm gonna tell you. Oh, okay, when this conversation is finished, I have to go and do this, I have to do that, whatever. But you see, you're not really listening. You're not hearing their words. All you're doing is you are hearing, but you're not internalizing what someone is saying. So I learned to really listen. And sometimes you hear things that people are saying between what they actually tell you. And I also learned to be more patient, even though I was a teacher before, a primary school teacher, and I taught very young children. I learned and I was patient. This taught me how to be really patient, not with other people, but also with myself. Because sometimes we are very impatient, you should do this better, you can do this faster, or you have to hurry up. This is what you tell yourself. So I learned to be more patient with myself and accept that, okay, things have changed. This is how it's going to be now. And how are you going to cope with it? And so you see, and ours also, I thought, all right, fine. There were things I wanted to do, like things you could do, even though you are confined, even though this your life has changed. Oh, my children love to eat. I didn't to cook. I said, okay, fine. I'm creative. I did a whole set of stuff. I practiced calligraphy. I said, all right. I was wanting to learn how to sew, so I got a sewing machine and I got to sew my own some well, simple things, not fantastic things, but simple clothes and stuff like that and thing. And I began to see how to rearrange everything so that I don't like being a burden in a sense, like everybody has to fit things to fit my schedule or what I can do and stuff. So I began to see how I can move about with the wheelchair and clean up and still cook and look after people, at least to some degree, as best as I could. So you see, you do learn to navigate through life. Now, in terms of navigating through what still I have in my body, because the illnesses don't just disappear. They may have, I don't know, been brought under control, is how I want to put it, or I manage it. But that has to do with when you awaken, you begin to realize that the more we focus on the headache or the goals, say, oh my God, this is hurting so much. I don't know what I can do. Oh God, when will this go away? When you keep saying that, you're focusing more on the pain. And what I learned to do was I learned to say, yes, it is hurting and stuff like that. So maybe if I think about something else or do something else, and it does happen over time, it will happen. It's not an instant like, okay, I have a migraine, but maybe if I go and just do this and not think about the migraine, it's not gonna go away instantly. But with time, when you keep practicing, not focusing so much on something bad, whether it's a pain, whether it's a experience, you realize that when you begin to detach from that and focus on something else, that you realize over time that it doesn't hurt so much. It doesn't affect you so much. And that's what I did. I learned to kind of detach. And I said, yes, I know I have a really, really, my whole body is hurting and stuff like that. And if I move this way or something, I'm going to start, my head is going to start spinning and I'm going to start feeling pain. And it does affect me because I do get these spells. And if I just breathe, focus on breathing, focus on, okay, what does the sky look like today? What do I see outside? And really look at it, you can distract yourself. And that's what I did.
Truly, Cindy, what you went through, it takes immense amount of courage, strength to go through that. And but throughout it all, like you said, identity remains constant. And yes, identity is not something that we are born into. Identity is something that we become, who we become throughout life's experiences, its challenges, and its hardships. And you became a warrior through it. So that is your identity. So, Cindy, as a poet and a guide, you often speak of life's magic and beauty. How did you maintain a sense of wonder when your physical reality was filled with pain and limitation?
Actually, it's pretty easy to see because I remember somebody asking me, what do you mean by magic and miracles and magic? And I mean, this is just how life is, I mean, whatever. I said, the fact that I got up, the fact that I could move about, the fact that I could look and I can see the sky. Right now it's raining, but I can see the rain falling and the wind blowing the leaves of the tree. And I could actually feel the air on my skin is a miracle. Because very often we take all these things. We come into a ready-made world. We didn't have to build mountains or create rivers or all the natural things in the environment, right? We didn't have to create grass or plants or food or whatever. We got those things. Those were gifts. The sky is a gift. The rain is a gift. Clouds are a gift. The sun is a gift. And when we begin to see that it's not so much the external or material accumulations that are precious. Because if it's raining, you pray for the sun. If it's too hot and too dry, you pray for the rain. So you see, it's kind of like when we learn to accept what is and see, I mean really see the fact that there is a sun, there is light for daylight, there is a nighttime when your body can rest and you can recuperate. All these are miracles, all these are gifts. And I know very often people say, well, think about what you have because millions of other people don't have what you have. Yes, that is also a way to be grateful. But the miracle is not in thinking that, okay, some people don't have a home, but I have one. The miracle is in the fact that you are gifted this spot in life where you were able to acquire certain things. The miracle is that you have the ability and you have the chances to push forward and to move and to grow. That is a miracle.
Again, that's just a beautiful way to look at life, and it gives us a different perspective. To be grateful for what we have, to be grateful of everything around us, and not only the materialistic things, but to be grateful of literally everything. And I think yes, that helps to you know uh, be grounded and happy in our life. And your insight may give listeners a new way to hold on to light, even in their darkest chapters. Siddhi, you have played many roles: mother, teacher, counselor, patient, widow. So, how did you protect your inner self while constantly shifting between these identities?
Actually, kind of grow into it because I had my children at a very young time. And so I kind of grew with them, so you kind of learn as you grow along, as we went along. And like shifting from one role to the other always involves change. You adjust, because I started off as a teacher first and then I got married. So you learn to incorporate all the different pieces of what you have done in your life. And that's what I did because it's like from being a teacher to a wife to a mother. In my case, it was like I already was working in an environment with young children. Now, mind you, I didn't know how to take care of a baby at all. So that was a learning experience. And you find that every time you go through a new experience or you play a new role in your life, what you learn something new and you also draw from the other things that you have done before. So it's more like you're building a foundation and you're building like you're following the steps in life, you're building a ladder. Everyone kind of teaches you something or whatever. And that's what I did. And that I went from a teacher to being a wife, and then I went to be a mother. And then from being a mother, I went to juggling schedules and things like that. And that helped me a lot because later on, when I started counseling, and then when my body got sick, I was kind of building because everything that I learned from before gave me the tools to handle to a large extent when my body got ill and I was starting to recover because I knew about the patients. I knew about listening. I knew about learning to see that everything takes time. Because when you're teaching and when you're a mother, you know that you have to do things over and over and over and over before it is learned or before it becomes ingrained in you. So that is what I did. You kind of draw on all the experiences that you have to reach the point where you are. The same way that's where I am now, in that all the experiences I've had. And to be honest, I would not take away any experience that I've had before, whether it was good or bad, because they do tend to guide you. I wouldn't say shape you because you're already given who you are. It's just you have to find it. They do tend to guide you towards being the person that you become at every stage in your life.
Yeah, I mean, basically, we adopt into these identities, these roles as we, move on in life. And like I said, our life experiences, they mold us into this person that we are today. And it really helps to adapt to these new identities. And this perspective can help listeners rethink the complexity of their own evolving roles in life. Lastly, Cindy, your story embodies resilience without medication, certainty, or predictability. What does true strength mean to you now after everything you've lived through?
True strength. is not physical. True strength is not even having a support group around you. True strength is what lives in you. It is the capacity to draw inside of you, speak to yourself, to pull from in you what you didn't even know you had. Because true strength is when you go through something bad, getting up every single day, getting out of bed, and even if you take time off after something bad happens, you know, or let's say you lost your job and you don't know what to do. But true strength is waking up in the morning, getting out of bed, actually moving and doing something and taking it step by step and sitting down and saying to myself, okay, this has happened to me. What can I do about it now? What can I find in me to move forward? That is true strength, because true strength is not just facing everything and saying, oh, well, this happened to me and stuff like that. I have to be strong, whatever. No, true strength is not just saying the words, it's doing something about it. And that is where it comes from. It comes from because we don't know our true strength. We don't know what we can push through. We have no idea if, because we hear about people bad experiences that, oh my God, if I went through what Cyndee went through, I don't know how I can do that. That's the first thing. But the thing is, you don't know. You don't know what you are capable of unless you allow yourself to feel it and to face it and to agree with it and to take action. That is true strength. True strength is not just saying it in my head. Yes, well, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z or whatever, 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 and then sit down and do nothing. True strength is actually taking action, even if it's writing a list, even if it's making a phone call, even if it is looking at we're talking about the job situation, looking at applying to other places or saying, okay, fine, I know it has availability now, but what else can I do in the meantime? Maybe I can go on, there are courses online. I can go and do a free course or something, upgrade myself a little bit. Maybe I can ask a friend to like help me out or whatever with showing me something that they do in their field and teaching me something that I could do meanwhile. That is where true strength come from. It comes from taking a small step, even when you feel life is pressing you down, whether it's emotionally, physically, financially, whatever.
Definitely. That's just a beautiful explanation of strength that you have given. And like you said, strength is something that lives in us. It is taking action, not just talking about it. Amazing, amazing advice. Thank you so much, Cindy, for sharing that. And it has been an amazing conversation with you. I mean, I learned so much, and I'm sure that our listeners have too. And I'm sure that they are also now more curious about to learn about your journey. To maybe they want to connect with you personally. So if they want to do that, how can they do that? Could you share with our listeners?
Okay. Well, I have written two books. One is a poetry book called Pieces of Me Touch My Soul by Cyndee, and the other one is called Grief is the Price You Pay for Love, which speaks about the process of grief and loss. It doesn't have to be grief of losing someone. It can be, the loss of a job, a family member, relationship, anything. And that one is written by Faialian, and both are available on Amazon.com. Also, if people want to contact me, they can contact me at cyndeedalai.com, iCloud.com. I will pass the information on to you so you can also like put it up if you want to. Pass it on to anybody who would like to know.
Great. I'll have all the details on my show listing so that the listeners can feel free to connect with you on a deeper level and learn about life. So, Cindy, thank you for bringing your profound truth, depth, and light into this conversation. For everyone listening, let Cindy's journey remind you that awakening isn't reserved for those who have perfect lives. It belongs to those who choose to see meaning in their struggles and magic in their survival. Take a moment today to breathe, reflect, and honor the miracle of simply being here. Your awakening is already unfolding.